Alright, so today, guys, what we're gonna be talking about here is something a little bit more personal, something a little bit more opinionated, right? This is something that has to do with your taste and who you actually are in person. So, here we go. We're gonna be talking about your flavor, your desired, your coveted flavor of woman. So this is my kind of second part to my however many part series on women, girls. It is, as guys, right, as men, it's a huge topic. It is something that comes up very often, and because of that, right, because it's so apparent in this, well, since the beginning of time, really, like, I feel like it's onus on me, onus on us to be discussing about this. Because if we fucking don't discuss about this, I mean, there's just gonna be this huge ass void in our life, like, if we have so much testosterone, if our sap is rising so high, if there's so much emotions involved in it and we don't talk about it, I mean, like what the fuck, man, like, we're seriously just doing it wrong. So, here we go. My flavor of woman, it's not actually one specific or one particular race, so much so as it is two. By two, I do not mean both of them share first place. No, it's not even in the slightest form, in the slightest way. What I mean by two is two mesh together. Like, I don't know if this counts as a race, but it does count as a sort of, I don't know, I guess we could say look type, right? Archetype, whatever you want to call it. Basically what it looks like, right? But not actually a race, and that race is what we like to call I don't know if you guys know these terms, if you guys know this terminology, but we call it yellowbone, right? We call it yellowbone slash high yellow slash cafe au lait slash mulatto. That is basically half, well, okay, we'll discuss the terminology first, but I'll get to my particular, I should say, specimen, or my particular dichotomy later on. But yeah, I mean, in definition, basically means half black, half white. So it's basically pretty much cut down the middle from both ends of the spectrum. Like, like, how in video games, right? 50% is always the best way to go for your character customization, right? I feel like life kind of reflects that a little bit. Just a little bit, cause I don't feel like if you're offsetting it too much, right? If you're offsetting it with putting an Asian and a fucking Hispanic, right? That you're actually doing it right. That you're actually using the formulas to your advantage. Don't feel like if you don't split something down the middle, right, that you're not gonna get a desired outcome. You're not gonna get a foxy lady. You're not gonna get someone who actually makes sense in the way they look. Like some people, right, in real life, even video games, right, like, you create these characters or you see these people in real life, something about face, right, just doesn't quite jibe with the individual constituents of their face. Like, it's just a little bit discordant, right? The elements are not working together in harmony, and that is what I'm talking about. But, right, however, with these specimens, right, with these half black, half white specimens, feel like that is a little bit at its peak. It's a little bit at its height. And why I say a little bit and why I don't say in its entirety is because I do feel like if it was like something like 75% white, 25% black, not that I've ever seen one in person, or not that I've ever I've ever encountered one in real life, or not that I even know what they fucking look like. It's usually not this much in favor of white instead of black. It's usually something like 75% black, 25% white, or 80 black, 20 white. It's never really heavily on the fence of, on the side of leaning towards white. But in terms of skin color, in terms of what they look like in my head, which is really, just a figment of my imagination. It's not something that I can actually back up in real life, right? But I feel like if the ratio was in that order, in that denomination, right, I feel like we would actually have some fucking mana from heaven shit. We would have some of that fucking golden shit. Some of that shit that, gonna have all of us fucking drooling till fucking kingdom come. Cause that shit right there, right, is a peak a fucking human achievement, bar none. Like, you guys got your fucking science, you guys got your fucking technology, all those shits don't matter next to this, next to the perfect ratio of racial, man, terminology is escaping me, man, but basically racial composition in one specific, one exact person. So, like, if you was to ask me what I like about them, their looks at least, personality is something that we're gonna be discussing in another video, right? Because right now we're straight up just wrecking shit, objectifying every single one of these motherfuckers. I don't know if that's the right thing to do, but like, as long as we back that up with some kind of talk about personality later down the line, I don't see what's so wrong about this. But yeah, man, it's kind of hard to describe how somebody looks past their hair, past their skin color, past their fucking eyes. If you want to go there, motherfucker. But yeah, man, it's a little difficult to quite quantify it. Like, if you was to ask me what I like about them, I would say their facial structure. But like, in terms of our language, I don't think English is particularly good language to be discussing about this, and because in our language, I don't know if it's the case with other languages, probably is, right? Probably is. But like in English, right, like, we don't quite have the descriptive words to put on facial structure, on facial ratios, on how people look in their face. Like, I don't think that's something that we can really be discussing too much because of the limitations of our language. But yeah, man, I mean, I just just like the way they look. I mean, like, there's not much else to it. You could make the argument, or you could make the argument that it's not entirely how they look, because if it was entirely how they look, it would be something like fucking like an all white bitch, like a redhead or a brunette, whatever you want to say. I mean, it might not actually be the best in terms of the looks department, but if we're talking about the best specimen of person, you could make the argument, because later on in our personality video we are gonna be talking about this again, and what's gonna happen probably, or definitely I should say, because I'm at the helm of this, I'm gonna be saying that the same exact specimen is also the number one in terms of personality. So just because of that, I might be a little biased. There's gonna be a little bit of spillover. Like, my love for this particular kind of personality will also spill over to my love for this particular kind of look. But that's just me, right? That's just how I think about it. Bitch, you can't do nothing. You can't do nothing to change my fucking opinion, my fucking stance on it. If I think it's fucking number one, it is gonna be number one, right or wrong. Like, it don't quite matter how accurate it is, but it does matter how much emotion I have behind it. And the emotion, by the way, in case you don't know, is fucking running high. Like, I really do hope that I meet one later down the line, further on in my life, and hope that it works out. But anyway, right, discussing past the perfect idea, the perfect example of a woman, right? Talking about number 2, number 3, number 4, number 100 even place, kind of discuss about that too. So yeah, so we're talking number two, it would probably have to be a mix again. It would probably have to be a mongrel again, because I don't know, man, that's just, I mean, to me, right, how I look at it, how I see faces, like, I don't know, man, you kind of gotta tweak it a little bit, right? You kind of gotta shuffle things around, and the only way to really do it, past obviously genetic modification, I mean, really, right, we are talking about mixing the different races naturally. So we're talking about interracial relationships, actually sprouting these kinds of women. And because of that, right, we gotta promote it a little bit, right? We gotta promote interracial relationships so that our dicks can get satisfied. Because our dicks have been fucking hanging fucking high and dry for the fucking longest time, ever since I could remember. I mean, when was the last time I had someone that I could actually look like? That's a real bag right there. But anyway, yeah, I mean, most of the people I see going around, I'll look at and be like, these guys make me feel really, really platonic. These guys just eradicate, they just destroy every single testosterone fucking cell. I don't know, cause I ain't no scientist, but yeah, they destroy every single part of me that like a woman when I look at them. You know, like these guys, they don't stimulate me too much. You know, these guys, they don't excite me too much. But when I go on the internet and I see these celebrities, when I see these public figures, right? When I see these public figures in the public eye, as well as in addition to boot being, you know, like half Asian, half white, right? Like I don't know, I feel like that's the second best. The second best, trailing at -5%. So if Mulatto was 100% in terms of the score they get right, this would be a 95%. This would be really really close. It would be a close shave because you ever look at one of them and you try to puzzle it out a little bit. You know, you try to figure out what exactly was going on in terms of the chemistry in their mug, in their face, right? And I always be like, huh, because you wouldn't actually think, right, that if you was to bundle, if you was to put an Asian together with a white man or white girl, whatever the case may be, and I don't think gender really has too much of a bearing on it, but yeah, if it was to put both of them together, you know, you wouldn't actually think, right, looking at each individual one, you wouldn't actually think that, that it was gonna sprout a fucking foxy bitch. You wouldn't actually think that that was gonna be the case. However, right, every single time I look at one of these, the first word, and it is a word, by the way, it is a word, that pops up in my mind is foxy. These guys' looks are always resembling whatever the fuck English. Man, I'm fucking Asian, man. You can't even be shitting on me. You can't even be dissing me on my fucking English. Fact of the matter is, if I'm talking English, even if I'm talking English, I mean, like, we already right ahead of our ancestors by country mile. I mean, like, really, like, there's no fucking debate here. I mean, like, really. So yeah, I mean, these guys' looks always resemble, to me at least, resemble a fox. That's where the term foxy comes from, right? Is because humans like the way foxes look. Period. Like, there's no, like, I know we're discussing about culture, right? But there's no discussing about how foxes look. Foxes look foxy, and they made a synonym for pretty by just looking the way they are. So that is already a testament in and of itself. And yeah, man, I mean, looking at these guys, every single one I would say that I've identified as this kind of Eurasian kind of specimen, as well as looked at, long and hard. I mean, I don't really find too much of a fault. Like, if we're talking about personality, that is obviously another video, but if you're talking about, what they have inside, I would feel like it's less than both, right? Both an Asian and both a white woman, it's like less than both in terms of who they are inside, but in terms of how they look, which is what we're talking about now, I would actually say that these guys, they rank pretty high up there, right? These guys are fucking some top shelf, top drawer, top notch, top dog look. So yeah, man, so that's how how I basically look at them is, man, all of these bitches, man, they all be looking foxy as hell, fine as a fucking fox, cause that is literally how it is. These guys looks like fucking foxes. So yeah, man, so at least if we're talking about looks, I kind of dig them. So anyway, going to number three. You ever looked at a half black, right, half Asian, or a fucking half Asian, half Hispanic person? I don't know, I couldn't say that I've seen too many of them. Like, obviously occasionally they pop up, right, but they never really stick to your mind. I mean, they stick to your mind, sorry. Like, these guys just don't quite have the numbers to back themselves up. They don't quite have the looks to back themselves up. Because, really right, I mean, if these guys were knockouts, right, if these guys were absolute just drop dead gorgeous specimens, I mean, we would be remembering them for a fucking lifetime, right? Bar fucking none, a fucking lifetime. But, obviously that's not quite the case. That's not quite how it is with them. So like, I couldn't really comment too much on them because I haven't really seen too many of them going around. So talking number three, I would have to say white. You know, talking about, I know it's kind of, to me at least, to me, I don't know if you guys feel the same way, right? But to me, it's a little bit of sacrilege. It's a little bit of some fucking, you know, just not right shit to be ranking white people that high. Cause these guys, right? These guys have really treated me like fucking dirt. These guys have walked all over me like a fucking doormat. These guys have stood on me like a fucking doormat since day one. Right? These guys have really shown me some shit ass treatment from day one. I'm not gonna lie to you, I do not like them. I don't like you, bitch. I don't like you. So, you know, like, you know, but I kind of gotta separate my personal feelings from my professional, if I can call it that. Well, not all that professional, but, you know, if we're talking about looks only, solely looks, alright, I'll give him that. I'll give him some credit there, because, you know, I kind of, you know, some of them at least, right, some of them at least, yeah, I mean, they don't look too bad, you know, like, you know, not much to discuss about, you know, just these guys are in the number 3 position. Yeah, they're in the number 3 spot. So I mean, obviously, like, fairer skin is always gonna get precedence. Fairer skin is, by fairer obviously mean lighter, in case you don't know, in case you're not quite hip to the terminology a little bit. But yeah, man, I feel like if you got lighter skin, right, you kind of, it kind of speaks more than how you actually look. You know, like, as long as you don't look like some fucking kind of downy, some kind of fucking retard, mongoloid specimen of a person, I mean, it's not really gonna be dragging you down. You know, your looks is not gonna be dragging you down so much as your body, so much as your milkshake, right? So much as your skin color. I mean, those things really. I mean, how much of a person does your face constitute? I mean, think about it, right? Think about it. Pretty much only like 5% of your entire body. You know, you have all these other parts speaking for themselves, and because of that, right? Because of that, I would actually say that these guys are number 3. You know, just their skin color, their structure, their, you know what the deal is, right? You know what the deal is. So you know, this is how it is. But number 4 would have to be. And this is a close number 4, right? If fucking mulatto was 100%. Eurasian was 95%. Straight up pure white would be, I would say, 75%. They get 75% overall, like in terms of like the entire race, not any one singled out person. You know, like we don't do that. We don't do singling out here. So number 4, we probably would have to say, yeah, it would be pretty clear cut, cause you know, if you was straight up black or if you're straight up Asian, man, fuck you, you ain't got shit. Get the fuck out of my fucking system. So 5% behind 75%, which is white, right? Pure white. I would have to say Hispanic, definitely. Because some of these, and I do mean some, I do stress the word some, because it is the operative word. Because not too many of these guys, right? Not too many of these guys really quite, you know, get my sap rising. They don't really quite, you know, give me the hots, you know, to use an old school term. I mean, these guys just don't quite, as a whole, right, as a whole, quite make sense to me as an appearance proposition. But if we're talking about some top drawer shit, if we're talking about, you know, the top 10%, right, top 10% would have to be an 80% in terms of my skill. Would have to be 80% in terms of their marks, right? Their score, how much they actually get on their fucking test would be 80%. Why I call them 70% is because of, you know, we're talking about entire race. We're not talking about just the cream of the crop here. You know, we're talking about every single person as long as they follow the ancestry, basically, what I'm trying to get here. But right, these guys, I don't know, man, they kind of resemble in some way the Eurasians in that they're kind of foxy, right? They kind of look a little bit like a fox. They kind of have a facial structure that is lean and is mean. You know, these guys really do go for the jugular in terms of your love, in terms of your dick. Get your dick down, by the way, cuz we're not talking about pictures here. We're talking about, you know, the composition. We're talking about the fucking science, bitch. Talking about the metaphysics behind it. So, you know, like, yeah, so really, right, I mean, I don't think it could be taken away from them too much, because, you know, kind of like the way they look. I mean, some of them, right, some of them, you know, we're talking about the minority of them, they don't look too bad to me, right? They don't put me off, you know, Like in terms of their structure, but body structure, that is their milkshake. I mean, it's pretty much as good as every single other one of these motherfuckers. But it's just the majority that drags the whole top drawer down a little bit because they don't quite. The gap is a little bit big, right? The gap is like some fucking America corporate ladder shit. It is pretty wide, the gap between the rich and the poor. In terms of looks, not in terms of money, because really talking money, right? Both of these guys are pretty low down. But anyway, getting on to my number 5, right? Number 5 would have to be Asians. And if fucking Hispanics was at 70%, these guys would be like fucking 30%. These guys would be just like, get away from me, man. It's kind of fucked up because I'm fucking Asian myself, right? I am one of these guys, and yet I be like renouncing my roots just because these guys put me off so fucking much. Like these guys really are some fucking skags. These guys are some really, really ugly, really unsightly, really hideous people, and it's not to even knock on them because of their facial kind of style, their facial motif, and that is the cutesy look. Sorry, man, but I don't fucking buy none of that cutesy shit. I don't fucking like that shit. Period. Because me, right, what I look for in a woman, right, is someone who can stick up for themselves, someone who can stand up for themselves, right? Someone who can hold their own ground, someone who can pull their own weight, and that doesn't quite really get propped up by these guys' looks. I mean, you see these guys' looks, the first thing that comes into your mind is, man, these guys really need some fucking support cause they can't work by themselves. These guys are not independent. They're not, not that other races are all that independent, but just how they look, right? They don't scream independence. They don't scream stand up kind of personality. They don't scream stick up for yourself. And because of that, right, I gotta be taking some serious points off of these guys, cause yeah, man. I mean, like, I just don't buy that cutesy shit. I don't buy that endearing. I don't buy that, that compassionate kind of fucking shit. That shit just doesn't quite work out in my mind. All right. So but if we're talking about other things, right, like their milkshake, their body structure, no, it would be too how should I say, trim, right? It would be too skinny, it would be too scrawny, it would be too stick like. I like a little bit of meat. Oh my god, I like a little bit of meat, I like a little bit of color, I like a little bit of everything in my fucking woman. So, if you're talking about fucking structure, I mean, these guys, they do kind of lose, they do kind of fall behind a little bit in this category. So, yeah, moving on to my last, which you can probably already guess, that would be straight up black. I mean, like I gotta be discussing about this. I mean, basically just all the elements pushed to the absolute fucking limit, right? Just pushed until they can go fucking no further, and even then, these guys still get pushed further. I mean, these guys is right. These guys just, I don't know, man, they're too, I wouldn't want to say loud, I wouldn't want to say assertive, but how they look basically is just too, I don't know, man, just too barbaric, like it reminds me too much of some fucking Stone Age shit, and I don't quite like that shit. I mean, some of you might have your personal preferences, to say the least, right? Personal preferences, but I don't want to be knocking on these guys too much, because even in terms of who they are inside, I mean, let's not pretend like we know them too well. And by them, I obviously mean not African Americans, but pro-African, because going around America, right, you don't see too many of these pro-blacks anymore. These guys have kind of mixed around a little bit. So, like if we're talking about looks, I mean, inherently, they obviously don't look the same. But I mean, these guys, they got last place, man. So yeah, that pretty much wraps up my views, my preferences, my tastes, my very, very dirty looks at these guys. You could say that, if you fit into one of my top drawer criteria. I mean, you're gonna be attracting a little bit of eyes, right? You're gonna be raising a couple eyebrows, cause damn girl, you fine. That's all I gotta say. So yeah, see you guys next time, and signing out. I'll see you next video, guys. Okay.